Michael, good to have you here today, sir. How are you?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. Very well indeed. Really appreciate being here, taking the time to share your experience on your 12-week journey and process through the Primal Ascension program. Really looking forward to getting your insight and the transformation that you've been on over the last couple of months. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Anytime, mate. Anytime.
Let's kick it off with anybody who is watching this, getting a flavour for where you were before you joined the program. So let's roll the clock back 3, 4 months. Where were you before you joined?
On the verge of a breakup would be the best way to put it. Um, I still am in a relationship with my partner. At the time, we'd have been together for around about 18 months. Um, it's been a very good relationship on the whole. I think I said this in the initial 90% of the time, it's brilliant. However, the 10% of the time completely ruins everything. Um, and over probably the course of the relationship, she would send me videos and think about this, think about that, and never related to anything. Um, the problems that we were having was down to mainly my defensiveness. When she would raise something, I would take it as a personal slight. I would then, from the background that I've got in the military, would get defensive and trying to win that argument every single time. And lo and behold, that caused massive issues within the relationship. It came to a head the back end of February. We had a huge Barney to the point where she was get out, get your stuff, leave. I am completely done unless you change. Lo and behold, a couple of days after that, she then sent me one of your videos, and this is probably a number of videos she used to send me on Instagram. One of the videos of yours stood out and I related to it straight away. And initially I was like, that man's a geezer. I can relate to him. And then I started looking into the program, and that was the turning point really from there.
Mhm. Very relatable, I think, in what you're saying there in terms of where you were, what you're experiencing. Defensiveness is massive
Huge.
for so many men, still was massive for me. So I know that there's going to be many men who are in the shoes that you were in. So I
Hmm.
appreciate you being open and sharing that. You said there that you saw a couple of videos, describe me as a geezer. I'll take that, absolutely take that. And it related, right? So, what was it about what you heard, what you saw in my message, what I'm conveying that you thought, yeah, do you know what? Like, he might be able to help me.
Am I all right to speak freely, as in swear and stuff like that? Yeah.
100%.
Mate, there was no bullshit. There was no bullshit. There was no hidden agenda. There was nothing like you were just after followers or anything of that kind of nature, mate. You were. It seemed like it seemed, and what I've since found out, that what you were speaking and what you are speaking is from the heart, and you actively are trying to help people. Um, you've explained in a lot of the sessions, mate, about how you had loads of money back in the past. Things changed. You're not in it for the high life. You're in it to help people, and you could see that from one of the videos, mate. I think you were walking down the beach. I can't really remember what was said. I'd have to go back and have a look through. But it was one of them videos where I was like, he's talking sense, and it was very specific to, at the time, the argument that we had about defensiveness and how, I think off the top of my head, it was something to do with trust, and that you're breaking the trust of your missus and she doesn't feel safe because of your defensiveness. And it was all about that. And it clicked in my head. So that was what drew me to you. And then obviously I went on YouTube and had a look at that, and I went right through your Instagram, and I was thinking, hi, this bloke, yeah, I can relate to him because I'm doing the things he's saying.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really appreciate you being that honest because when I talk in my content and I go through stuff, it's what I needed to hear.
Well, you've lived it, haven't you? You've been there
Yeah,
yourself, mate.
yeah, 100%. And I thought I was alone, so to know that you have been able to relate to it because you were going through the same stuff that I was going through or a couple of years ago, I'm really grateful to hear that allowed you to believe and trust and have faith in that I'm not just here to spin some theory. Actually, this is lived change, and it could help you as well. So I really appreciate that. What was the catalyst to go, right, I can relate to him? He's clearly been through this, there was that tangibility for you, but what was the clincher for you to pull the trigger and go, do you know what? I think this program could help me based on what I've heard.
That was mainly down to me missus seeing me doing the research.
Mm-hmm.
So she saw me doing the research. I then mentioned it to her, and she was behind us. Like, she gave me the backing. And it was one of them where, as I started just even applying and stuff like that, she seen that I was putting the relationship first, and that I wanted to do change to basically put her first, and she could see that. So that was the catalyst, mate, really.
Mm-hmm. You hear me say it time and time again, and that is absolute witness to it. Behavior is the biggest communicator.
Yeah.
So the fact that she see that, you've seen the benefit of it, love it. Absolutely love it. That's the good side of it. Did you have any concerns or skepticism about what you saw, what you heard? You touched on it like it felt real, and you could relate. But was there any concerns before you joined, as you were joining? Any negatives?
I think probably the usual connotations with things on the internet, mate.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like it's like a Ponzi scheme or something like that, you know what I mean? But that was quickly wiped away as soon as I got into the school app, as soon as I got onto the first session, that was gone. Do you know what I mean? There was obviously more skepticism of me being like, is this going to work? Is this right for me? Am I going to pay attention? Am I going to take it in? Do I want to change? That's probably another one as well, mate, deep down. And ultimately I did. So that's, won't go into, obviously we'll go into that later on down the line, but it was very apprehensive at first. Like, not worried or anything. I just thinking, is this going to work? Is it going to be a waste of money? Because it's an investment, and that's one thing that my missus saw. She was like, "You're willing to invest this much money into us," and then she gave me that backing. So that was, if you're going to pay the price, you've got to put the work in.
Yeah.
There's and like what you were just saying there about previously about the inner circle and stuff like that. There's no space for passengers. You can't just turn up. It's not an attendance course. That's one thing we say in my line of work. You've got plenty of courses where you turn up, get a tick in the box. You've actually got to put in what you get out in this.
Yeah, I love that because there's so many easy options for us, and you've heard me say it many times before. We're looking for that easy golden bullet that's going to
Yeah.
solve all our problems, and we forget the necessity for hard work. How did you find it out of interest? The weekly commitment, 2 live sessions, the learning all the pre-recorded stuff in school. How did you find it once you'd made that commitment, you got in and you was like, right, I'm here now? How was the
So
experience?
for me, the school stuff, I just put it on the way to work. I've got an hour and 10 commute to work, so I was getting a lot of videos done then. Not so much on the way home because I was usually pretty baggage, but on the way to work, definitely when I was fresh, I was listening to the stuff. The Tuesday call, um, that's I really enjoyed the Tuesday call. Moreover than the Saturday call, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday's obviously the big learning environment. And as now I'm in the extended package, shall we say, I've now come full circle, and now it's like a little top up, and it's like, oh, I remember that from week 1 or week 2, because the one that you went through on Tuesday just gone, where I put a point in there saying that about revisit, if you don't feel like you can talk about it at the time, coming back to it later on down the line. That was something that I remembered from the previous one from 12 weeks before that, so it was nice to have that little refresh. The Saturday calls, for me personally, I've enjoyed. I just sometimes feel a little bit apprehensive talking in front of people I don't know, or in a big group of people I don't know. Alexa, turn off.
Yeah, yeah.
The usual drive time classics come on, mate. So my apologies.
All good.
However, I've grown into them a bit, and seeing people come and go, but then also people starting off at week one and then getting progressively better in the Saturday calls. That's been something I've looked forward to. So, especially, I remember there was one where Ruben, if I remember rightly, one weekend you asked one of the lads called him out to speak to him, and he gave that, and to say he didn't want to talk. Came back a week later and he was like, I've been doing this because he was ready to speak then, and he just downloaded it. Everyone was behind him, and he's made such a transition from where he was. I think I must have been in about week 2 or week 3 there to where he is now, and he's one of the go-to blokes within the team. So
Mhm.
for for the Saturday call, you're getting what you put out, really. And if people can happily sit and speak to people they don't know and probably never going to meet and tell them their deepest and darkest secrets, you can get a lot out of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love how you've described the two sessions in them being different, how they've made you feel personally, but also as well the discomfort that one brought, and you still were able to witness loads of growth and learns from other people and get some inspiration from that. You know, you mentioned Ruben there as an example, because in the same light, there's going to be individuals who have seen that in you. You know, because when you have downloaded and updated, and like you said, like when you're giving points now, because you've been embodying the work for a period of time, you bring forward that experience, and that
Yeah.
is inspirational in that. So I love that that contrast played out for you.
Mate, it's also, I don't know if you've thought about it this way, but it's also good training for when you're sitting in the fire with your missus,
Mm.
because you're sitting in the fire where 30, 35 blokes looking at you, judging your every word. And especially with the partner that I've got, who is a barrister, and literally, if I say the wrong type of word, I'll get she's on me. Do you know what I mean? So it's give me that confidence for when my partner raises something, just to be like, take that pregnant pause, right? Okay, and not react. And that's what Saturday has kind of trained people to do, I think.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a different level of learning, it's a different level of
Mhm.
experience, all intentional. All
Yeah.
intentional. So, yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that and that standing out for you. What would you say has been your biggest insight that you gained? Not so much the change personally, we'll get to that in a moment, but what was the biggest insight, the biggest learn that you feel has really helped you out of all of what you've been through?
Um, Probably emotional safety and emotional security, emotional intelligence, things of that kind of nature. So,
Hmm.
like how everything's intertwined into trust and safety. And if your missus doesn't feel safe, she doesn't trust you. She might. It's not a case of she doesn't trust you that you're going to go out on the piss and you're going to get with someone. It's not that. It's that she feels safe in your presence and trusted that you have her best interest at heart. And that was probably the biggest eye opener, because my partner had done a lot of work herself before she's met me. She's had therapy, and she's very into emotional intelligence and this kind of stuff. Where for me, it's been my first exposure. So learning it and seeing it firsthand, I get it now. And one thing I could wait until Saturday's session, but she basically the other night we were lying there and we were discussing how things had been for like the last 6 weeks or so, because it's kind of a flip side of this, mate. Because I'm now asking her questions like, "Is everything all right? Like, is everything okay?" And she's like, "Michael, I am the most content I have ever been in this relationship. I feel safe. I trust you. Like everything is good. You're probably worrying now because I'm on your back all the time." And now I'm like, yeah, fair, because she doesn't need to be constantly pecking at me about things, or because when she does need to raise something, or I need to raise something, we raise it in a safe, um, adult manner without any kind of flare ups whatsoever. Like we were chatting the other night, and we were like, I can't remember the last time we had an argument. It was probably 8 weeks ago, and we've
Hmm.
had some testing times in that. especially with my ex-partner and stuff like that. So we've had some very, very testing times, where what I've learned has helped massively. So that would be I guess the caveat. The biggest insight would be how safety towards your partner and emotional intelligence.
Yeah. I love that example that you've given, because the way you phrased it as well, that there are still testing moments, there are still times they're going to test you, but it don't have to blow up.
Yeah.
It don't have to turn into a shit show. So I really
It,
like
it really doesn't, Grant, and that's the thing, is when my partner used to raise things to me, when Amy used to raise things, I'd instantly be like, fucking hell, here it goes again. Do you know what I mean? And now it's like she raises something, I'm like, all right, okay, let's break this down. Do you need an ear, or do you want a solution? And then you can go off and use your teaching, shall we say, to work things right. And if you are in the wrong, just fucking own it. Sit in the fire. And I guess another big insight has been is the ability to sit in the fire, and then you find out half the time it's that you're not the problem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like what I would have done when you were asking back to question one, where was I before the program? That would have been, right, well, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. And then before you know it, you're tearing strips of each other.
Yeah. Again, it's just real, right? It's just real. And the fact that you can pull out these experiences, these examples before and now and all of that, again, just shows when you embody the work, you do the work, the shift that occurs thereafter. And one question I do want to get your take on, because I get this a lot, especially with the angle that I communicate things. I get feedback that I'm a simp and I'm training men to be emotionally abused, and I'm turning them into being pussies and all this other shit. Any of that you're experiencing, what you've learned over the program?
I've just had to hang my dog collar up, mate, that she's been walking us around the house on. She's literally here, just propped up. I'm joking. The polar opposite, mate, to be honest with you. It's all about boundaries and setting your boundaries. Do you know what I mean? So it's not as a case of I'm a yes man now, or anything. I disagree with her all the time. It's just how you go about disagreeing, and how you don't get defensive about something and see someone else's point of view. Trying to think of an example. I think I want to top me. That was a waste of 10 seconds. But say, for argument's sake, if Amy has a problem, and if I was a simp, I'd be, yes, babe, you're right, babe, and not doing things off or what I want to do or anything. But what we do, we understand their situation, and we can still put things. Well, unfortunately, I'm still going to do this, but I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in the background as well. So don't worry about that. I'm going to be back. I'm going to do this. Do not worry. It's not. Yeah, it's quite hard to explain that one. I guess, right, I'm gonna hit the nail on the head here for you. It's all about embodying your masculine energy. If you're saying fucking yes to everything, you're not a man, basically. And if I said yes to everything, and my missus walked all over us, she would probably think less of me if I was a simp, rather than being a bloke and having the ability to say no and turn around and put my boundaries in. So, do you know what, mate? I have got a good example about that one. With my ex-partner, she basically, I didn't realise, but the way she'd been treating me since we broke up is like we're still in a relationship, so I get the vent of all of her fucking problems. We put a boundary in place the other week, well, about 4 weeks ago. Put this boundary in for the better, and since then, things have just went like my and Amy's relationship has blossomed because we don't have that external stress. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't as if I was being weak and listening. I just didn't fucking have a boundary in. So I put that boundary in place, done, and things are a hell of a lot better. My missus might ask me to do something around the house. Yes, babe, I'll do that, but after I've done this, this, and this. It's not a case of, oh, I'm having fun, I don't know, doing whatever hobby I want to do. Michael can do this. I will, babe, after I've finished this. And it's all about having your boundaries. And as long as you follow up straight off the back and do what you've said you're going to do and show that consistency, then yes.
Yeah.
But the polar opposite of Sims, mate. If anything, I feel stronger now being able to have these conversations and sit in the fire. And that's a term that obviously we use quite a lot. But you can actively feel it, mate, because it is uncomfortable, like massively uncomfortable. No one likes to be told that they're shit or that they're in the wrong or they've done something wrong. But having that ability just to take that pregnant pause, take a deep breath. All right, okay, let's get through this, discuss it. And then, like I said earlier, half the time, you're not the problem.
Yeah.
It's something else. But it's something minor that you've done, that you've left a dish out or whatever, which could turn into a massive, huge argument. But realistically, it's something else.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great example that you've used on the approach that we take is about balance, right? Like you said, like we phrase it, you sit in the fire of life's emotions, you hear it all, you feel it, you understand it. Yeah, it's uncomfortable as fuck sometimes, but then you're proactive and going, okay, this is a concern. There is something that is painful or heavy or whatever in your world. So let me hear all of this and let me do something about it. Sometimes that requires us to be firm. It requires us to have strong boundaries. And it's really nice to see that you've been able to create that balance where, you said your wife is saying that she's never felt more content. She's never felt safer.
Yeah.
And you still feel empowered and strong to
Mhm.
keep moving forwards. And it's like, I love that example again, because it's relatable, but also that we're learning to do it different, right? No one taught you and I how to do this at school or otherwise. So the fact
100%.
that you've been open-minded to go forward in your relationship, try this new stuff, implement it, find the nuance between you and your wife on how it works best, or you and your partner how it works best, and then be able to see the relationship growing, the connection getting better. It's great. Like, it's why we do this.
Yeah.
So in all of these changes that you've made, what would you say has been one of the biggest ones that is standing out for you? Like, again, when we started to when you're here now, what's one of the biggest things that you've seen shift?
I think that's an easy one, mate. I don't fear conflict. I don't fear her raising anything, mate.
Mm.
Yeah, that's probably the simplest one on that one. Um, if our lass has a problem, there is something. I don't feel like this is going to be the end. This is going to be a huge fight off the back of it. And I also, the biggest change is that we can work through whatever's in front of us. It's give us the tools to be able to do that.
Yeah, nice. And it is a fear that so many men have,
Yeah.
their wife and partner's response. They don't say anything because they fear what's going to come their way. So the sheer
Hmm.
fact you don't have that, there's always going to be uncomfortable moments, right? Always. We're never going to negate them completely. But the fact that you're not scared of that stuff arising, you feel like you've got the tools to handle it, and clearly they're working because of how you've described the shift and the
Yeah.
change between you both. Great to hear. Like the
Hmm.
sheer fact that that confidence is there and that fear has been dissolved. And again, it doesn't negate that we're going to have some tough conversations in the future. Like me and my wife still do years later down the line. But the fact that that fear no longer exists, I love that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I love that. If you were to describe the interaction and the relationship that you now have with your partner, what comes to mind when you see the two of you together, the life that you are now creating, that connection that you've got? How would you describe it in comparison to where you said it was?
Well, it was volatile back in February. Um, I definitely say the last 6 to 8 weeks have been brilliant. Nice and calm, a team. Even when there is like she's got a very stressful job, I've got a very stressful job. We're still taking that time together. We can still work through each other's problems. Still have the ability to listen, um, and the fact of I don't feel defensive anymore. That's the main thing, mate. Um, we're in it together. Like I'm I'm her biggest fan. She's my biggest fan. We're a team, and it's remembering that we're on the same team. And when she is raising something, it's not because she fucking hates you. It's because she wants it to work.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think that is the dynamic that so many men are looking for. You know, it's why we get married. In the most part, we want to do this with someone.
Mhm.
We want to be that team. We want to get on. We've got the stress of life to deal with outside of the home. We don't want to have to deal with more stress when we're in it. And so, hearing that you're seeing that dynamic shift, that you're a team, that you feel like you're in it together for the right reasons, it's what a lot of men are craving. Like,
Mate,
really.
I've just had one thought about when you were saying about the simp crack that you get on social media. Um, it's it's the polar opposite, mate. Because if like if you're rolling over and getting your belly tickled, right, and people probably think, oh, you're just saying yes because you don't want your missus to leave you. If you constantly say yes and don't have the balls to fucking turn around and say no, put your boundaries in, she's gonna leave you because of that, rather than you having the strength and the fortitude to turn around and put your boundaries in and be like no. So I thought I'd just raise that one, mate, because that was something that popped into me head about the previous one.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate it. And it's why, like you saw in the program, I bring boundaries up twice.
Yeah.
Because I know when I bring it in the earlier part of the program, most men go, "Oh yeah, I'll hang off on doing that, and I'll
Mhm.
wait," and they see it as a non-necessity to even consider because of, like you were describing, that fear. Like they're fearful of what will happen if they start to be firm.
Yeah.
And like you've seen, there is a gentle, there is a soft, there is a caring way to be firm. We're not
Hmm.
here to dominate with aggression and tyranny and whatever else.
Exactly.
And the importance, clearly, as you're describing it, is an absolute essential for the foundation of a relationship. So I'm glad you brought that in.
Mate, gone are the days, mate, of 1980s, 1990s parenting.
mm,
Do you know what I mean? You'll know what it's like from when we were kids, mate. Ruling with an iron fist, whatever the man said goes. Those days are gone. You don't behave like that anymore. But you can still be firm. You can still have your boundaries. You can still say no. It's just how you do it.
yeah. 100%. Yeah, 100%. It's all balance. It's all duality. If we want softness, there's got to be some firmness somewhere.
Hmm.
And I think the way I like to describe it is if we talk about safety at home, we feel safe because there's firm walls, there's firm windows, there's locked doors, there's structure. Imagine asking for safety at home and taking all the doors and windows out of the house, right? All of a sudden, because that firmness and strength has now gone, the safety was eroded. And it's exactly what we do with the boundaries. We put them in place for safety and structure, not for control and everything else. So you're absolutely right. There is a way to do it. And I'm glad that you've been able to see how that plays out and how you can do it. Um, how would you describe the relationship with yourself now, post doing all of this, learning what you've learned, embodying it, doing it, seeing it play out real life? How would you describe how you feel about you?
Um, I've definitely changed for the better in a way of I don't feel obviously like I've said I don't feel defensive like I used to, and I just feel like now I can deal with that conflict a hell of a lot better and deal with the hard conversations and sit in the fire. I think it's probably made me not more laid back as such, but just confident in the abilities that I've got um, and that I've learned, basically.
Mhm.
Like I know for some people on the program, they need that structure. They need that. Right, you're telling them go and do your press ups. Here's a gym routine. Stop eating like shit. Do you know what I mean? I haven't needed that as such because I've got that in my work life. The discipline is there. The military makes me do fizz. I eat well anyway. Um, but for certain people, that is great. Some people need that kick up the arse to get that. Where the kick up the arse I needed was Michael, stop being fucking defensive all the time and thinking everything's about you. And
Mhm.
that's what I needed. And then that's another thing that you do in the groups as well, mate. When if someone does raise something and they're in the wrong, you and the other blokes will call them out and be like, "Hang on a second, lad, you're in the wrong here. You need to track it back a little bit." So the accountability. Um, One big thing that I see has massively improved in me is consistency. And it's not just doing a 12-week course and thinking that you're gonna fix all the problems in your relationship. It's keeping it going. Like I'm
Mhm.
in my second month now of the like extended period, and I'm doing that to keep that consistency going and not rest on your laurels.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love that example of being called out, and you seeing how that self-reflection coming
Mhm.
in from myself, from the other men, allows you to build a better relationship with yourself, not
Yeah.
let ego get in the way, not let old habits and behaviors ruin the progress that you're making. And also, as well, I like the fact that you've described it as it's allowed you to not be so full on, right? Because sometimes we can be too productive or too disciplined or too controlling of ourselves for our own
Mhm.
good. And it's nice to hear that you get your discipline and your structure and all of that coming in from your work, from the military, from that side of it. And you've been able to see, okay, at home, it don't have to be so intense. It don't have
And
to be.
that's one thing that we discussed on one of the live calls once, mate, was me bringing home how I speak to people in a work environment and then
Mm.
doing it the same with me missus. And obviously that doesn't have a positive effect on the relationship at all, mate. So
So again, something that we were just never shown, right?
yeah,
And you're in a leadership role, you've got a lot of responsibility. We're not told that that level of leadership and how that plays out ain't appropriate for our wife,
yeah.
right? We just see it as, oh no, that's good leadership. So that's what I have
Mhm.
to do everywhere in my life. And it's really nice that in becoming more masculine, you've seen areas where you can soften up and it actually
Yeah.
makes you stronger, right? It makes you more protective because it's not about dominance and control and you will do what you're told. It's very much like, okay, what we got to do, how we got to do this. Like, I'm here
Mhm.
for you, I'm here to support, I'm here to help, but I'm also not here to fold and collapse into whatever emotional
Yeah,
expression it brings. So
exactly.
yeah, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it. um, my last question for you is, anybody who's on the fence, right? Anybody who has seen my content, perhaps they've had a call to discuss whether or not the program is right for them or not, or anybody really just coming to terms with maybe there is an alternative way for them to behave and stuff to learn, and they're considering something like the Primal Ascension as an option for them. What would you say? What would you say if they're on the fence?
I guess what I would say is if you want to improve how you are as a man, then give this a whirl. If you want to save your relationship and show to your partner that everything that she wants to see in you, that things that she sees, and the reason why she gets on it is because she wants these things. If you need a handrail and a steer around like-minded individuals, then join this program. That would be the best way to say it, mate. Um, yeah, take the plunge.
Mhm.
If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you.
Mhm.
But there's plenty of people who are in this program who see little wins every single day, especially in Discord, mate. You just look at the amount of blokes that are posting in there at the minute, the wins that people are having. Is a Jim who's in there at the moment who is literally on the verge of a divorce, hadn't spoken to his missus for 10 months, hadn't had contact. Now he's driving her to the airport. She's asking him, wanting to see him because of the changes he's made. There's been a lot of people who've been on literally all their stuff's in a bag, ready to leave or have left. Dicko for one in Australia. Um, they're everyone who's listened to what you learned through your experiences and put them into practice it's paying dividends now. So
Yeah, great. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And you're right, like my approach, especially in the way that the program is run, is we're doing simple things, but
mhm,
far more consistently than we've ever done them.
yeah,
And they might be new, but they are proven through experience, not theory.
mhm,
And that is the key thing. And the repetition of those results and those wins, as you've described them coming in, like you saw in the content as you were going through, that as we get these new skills, we feel like we need that next thing. And then lo and behold, it's there. Like the next week's
yeah,
content is giving you the skills or it's giving you the knowledge that you felt like you needed or that was missing. And that's because it's driven by experience. Like these guys are going through a process, experiencing it all play out, because that's what I did. And this is just a refinement of the stuff that worked for me, and lo and behold, it's now working for so many others. So
Yeah, I remember coming off. I think it was either me. I think it was my first Tuesday call, and it was the live show where you would know about holding space, right? And I remember halfway through that, 'cause that was my first call. I was like, I walked out my little office, and I was like, I went to Amy. I was like, I think this is a bit too much for me. And she was like, why? I says, it's just so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable sitting there. Like, Grant needs to say something. He needs to say something. He needs to say something. And she went, go back in there and listen to what he's trying to teach. And I watched, I think, because that was quite a long one, mate. That one went on for about an hour 50, that session. And I came out with it and I was like, yep, I get this now. And I sat down and I held space for, I literally put my notepad down, walked out my office, sat there, raised something, and then just held space for 45 minutes. And I tell you what, I felt so light off the back of that. Just having that little skill to be able to do that. I've never mentioned that to you, mate, but genuinely, that session, I think it was right at the start of March. It was horrible, mate. It was so horrible. But now that's commonplace. I'll sit there and me and Amy will chat on a tangent for like 10, 15 minutes, and then have you got anything to say? And then she'll go on again and just allow the floodgates to open, like you've said many times, mate. So yeah, thought I'd use that one as an example.
yeah, good. And again, like what you've done there is the key. You've seen it, made you uncomfortable, learned something new, and then gone and fucking applied it.
Yeah.
It made you uncomfortable, and you still utilized it and played it into your relationship. That's
Mhm.
the key. So hopefully that gives anybody watching this the real life insight into how this runs, what we do. Some of what you've shared is the real and rawness of it, which is great
Yeah.
because that's my entire approach. Like, you know it just as well as anybody else in the program now. I ain't here to fuck around. I'm not here to mess about with your relationship. I'm not here to mess about with you. I'm giving you all that I can. And it's great to hear that that's paid off and you're seeing the benefit of putting it into action.
Mhm.
Marco, I want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for sharing your perspective and your take on it. Really appreciate you taking the time to do it. But more importantly, I'm truly grateful that you put faith in me and you've reaped the reward of it and you've laid that long-term foundation for your relationship with your partner to thrive. And also having built a better connection with yourself and built that awareness. So thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it.